Alright guys, so today in this session we will be learning how to choose a cloud certification in 2019. Okay, so we'll be starting now with the agenda. So this we will just discuss what all topics we will be covering today. We will start off with why do we need cloud computing, and then we move on to discuss what is the cloud demand right now in the market. Okay. So after that, we will be discussing what is cloud certification exactly, and then move on to discuss the various top cloud providers which exist in the industry right now. Okay. Once we're done with that, we'll move on and talk about some of the top cloud certifications that you should know of before entering into the cloud domain, and then we'll move on and talk about the different cloud certifications that you should know of and that you should basically try to crack while you're entering inside the cloud domain. Once we are done with that, we'll move on and talk about some of the types of certifications. Basically, each cloud certification is divided between associate and professional. So we will be discussing what is an associate certification, what is a professional certification, and then we'll move along. All right, guys. So this is the agenda for this session. I hope it's clear to you. Now let's move on and start off with the first topic, which is why do we need cloud certification? Now, guys, before we start off, we basically are broadcasting on two modes today. I have some attendees in the go-to webinar mode, and I have some attendees on YouTube. So I have my team with me over here. If you have any questions with regards to anything that I'm teaching right now, people on YouTube can just comment it in the comment box, and my team is here to help you out, and they'll be replying to each and every comment. Meanwhile, the people on GoToWebinar, if you have any questions, just put it in the comment box, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. All right, guys. So with that, this is the expectation from this session. Let's start off with the first topic, which is why do we need cloud certification? So, guys, cloud, as you all know, you also might have heard about cloud from a friend, or you might be already working in it. But cloud has become an integral part of the IT industry in today's world. Okay. Now, how do you tell a person, or how do you know whether a person knows cloud or not? Right. So the first thing is you look at his profile and basically see what is he currently doing, what is his day-to-day work, and by that you get to know of, okay, so this person knows cloud. The second way of knowing whether a person knows cloud or not is to check whether he has a certification from the official body or not. Right. For example, if I'm a recruiter and I'm looking for AWS or Azure or GCP professionals, what I will be looking at is whether that person has a certification or not. Right. Because it'll be very difficult for me to just call all the people by sending out a, job notification that people who know cloud can uh, come for the interview. After doing the resume screening, I will just get to know whether that person has listed cloud as a skill in his resume or not. But how to basically check whether he knows cloud or not? And for that, you need a cloud certification. So cloud certification is very important. We'll talk more about how a certification basically helps us as we move along. But before that, let's look at what Gartner has to say about cloud. So the public cloud revenue grew 17.3% in 2019. So in 2019 alone, so we are still in 2019 and it's the ninth month going on. Till 2019, there has been a 17.3% growth when we compare it to the previous year's uh, uh, benchmark as to what cloud said. After that benchmark, the cloud industry has grown 17.3% from 2018, right? And the total revenue from the public cloud domain is $206.2 billion, right? So this metric should basically tell you as to how famous cloud as a service has become in the industry. Okay, moving forward, now let's talk about what does that mean for us, right? That basically means that because cloud is growing, right? We have seen the trend that cloud is growing right now. Because of that growth, there are a lot of jobs which have been available on the web portal. So if you go to indeed.com and search for the term cloud engineer, you will see around 22,000 jobs listed over there currently. So this is what I researched while I was coming for this session. That if you search for the term cloud engineer, there'll be around 22,000 jobs on Indeed.com alone, right? So because of the growth of the cloud industry, it has led to better job prospects. And but you still, there are better job prospects, you have better jobs available, but those jobs are still vacant. Those jobs are cannot be filled because of the less of because of the skill gap which is there in the industry right now. So we need a lot of cloud professionals, but because cloud is not taught in college, or it is a domain which you have to learn once you get into the IT domain, there are not a lot of IT people who know cloud. Okay, and that is the reason that there are very less professionals who are skilled in the cloud domain, and that is the reason that most of the jobs which are into the cloud domain are vacant, right? Second thing is, if you get into cloud, you can see that there could be a better career growth, right? Why? Because cloud is in its, I'll say, it's evolved from the point where it was launched in, I'll say, 2004 or 2006, right? It was introduced back then, and since then, cloud has grown a lot. But the demand for cloud has emerged, I think, in the past 4 or 5 years, where you can see it has got tremendous growth. And because the graph is still upwards, the people who get into the cloud domain right now will have a chance of a better career growth, rather than people who would be getting into the cloud domain in the next 3 or 4 years, when the industry could become stagnant. Then the career growth would not be that much when you compare it to the current scenario, wherein if you get into the cloud domain right now, because there are less professionals who are skilled in this technology, because there is less competition, you can see a better career growth in this industry. Okay, and the third reason is why you should get a cloud certification. The first was because there are better job prospects. The second thing was because there is better career growth if you get into the cloud domain right now. And the third reason is, even if, let's say, you don't want to switch to the cloud industry, if I go by stats, most of the early companies, like most of the early startup companies or mid-sized companies, have already put their infrastructure on cloud right now. If we just exclude the MNCs who are still on legacy systems and who cannot migrate to cloud just because of because of the amount of cost that it will involve, the cloud industry is mostly about early startups. It's mostly about mid-sized companies, and even MNCs who look at sustainable future have now started to migrate on cloud, right? Like, for example, you must have heard about Netflix. So Netflix is a medium-sized company, and it is about to become a multinational company. Netflix is now completely on cloud, right? None of their services are from on-premise infrastructure. They have completely shifted on cloud for their infrastructure needs, right? Similarly, if I talk about Amazon, which is the world's biggest e-commerce platform, is also hosted on a cloud provider which is known as AWS, which is Amazon's own cloud infrastructure. Okay, similarly, there are a lot of applications, there are a lot of companies which have completely shifted to the cloud infrastructure and are now enjoying its benefits. So I would expect you all to know what are the benefits of cloud, why you as a business stakeholder would want to shift on to the cloud domain. So the reason for that is cheap costs. I don't have to buy any server. The servers are readily available for me. I can just rent them and start working on it, right? I don't have to hire a team for managing the infrastructure, because whomsoever cloud provider I choose, if I'm using their services, whatever servers are being used in the backend would be handled by the cloud provider. Okay, so I don't have to hire a team for managing the infrastructure. I just need a team of people who would be managing the infrastructure, which would be probably in hundreds of servers. I just need around a team of 3 or 4 people who could manage the whole infrastructure, and that is about it. right? So this is why cloud became so popular, and now this is the reason that companies who are just starting off are investing into cloud directly. But companies who were there, who existed before the cloud technology, it is taking time for them to adopt cloud. The reason for that is all their applications are already up and running on legacy systems, and now if they try to migrate to cloud, it would basically cost them heavily, right? And that is the reason most of the MNCs are taking it slow in terms of cloud adoption. But all the mid-sized to early startups, they're all investing in cloud, and that's where your target zone is. That's where you should apply for a job when you become a cloud professional. Okay, so what we have, let me just summarize what we have discussed so far. So, cloud is the thing that for the future, because it is giving better return on investment. That basically means you invest less, you get more when you are on cloud. Second thing is why you as an employee, or why you as a technology or an IT person would want to learn cloud, because there are better job prospects. There's a lot of jobs for you to apply to. There is better career growth because the graph is still upwards. The industry has not become stagnant as of now, and you will have to be up to date when you are in the IT industry. Any job that you are into, it would be related to cloud somehow. And if you think about the career ladder that you are on right now, it's always a good idea to be up to date with the industry. Okay, so now what we have talked about is why should you get certified in cloud, and what are the basic advantages of being in cloud, right? Now let's talk about the demand of cloud. Okay, so the demand for cloud computing skills is still on the rise, and like I said, more and more companies are now adopting the cloud services. But majority of those companies are, like I said, are early startups or mid-sized companies. MNCs are still trying to move to cloud, but because of the costs involved in doing the migration, they're taking it slow. Okay, according to Forbes, 83% of enterprise workload will be in cloud by 2020. Okay, so 83% of all the applications which are running on servers right now would be in cloud by the end of next year. This is the prediction that Forbes has made, right? AI and machine learning are playing a role in cloud computing adoption today. Now, you might have heard that AI and machine learning are on the rise, right? So, even if you are a person who is not into AI and machine learning, you could be the person who would be managing the infrastructure for these two technologies, right? And these two technologies are the future. This is what the applications are going to run on, right? And the infrastructure for these applications are preferred to be on cloud. The reason for that is AI and machine learning are some technologies which are very compute intensive, right? Now if you want to create an application which is very accurate as to what it has to predict, it needs a lot of computation power. Now you can do two things. Either you can buy that computation power from the market, you can buy those that number of servers, and that will basically cost you a lot. That will amount to a lot of investment from your side. But you can do that, and you can get the same result. Or what you can do is you can just rent it from cloud on a pay-as-you-go basis, and you can use the AI and machine learning technology, right? So it is playing a major role in the cloud computing adoption today, because most of the companies who are looking out for AI and machine learning technology to be implemented on their application are now moving towards cloud for their infrastructure. So where will workloads basically run when we come to 2020, right? So when we are in 2020, on premises basically means the applications which are running on my own servers, the servers that I've bought, right? So 37% of servers that I've bought sorry, servers that I've bought run 37% of the applications today in 2019, right? Similarly, in the public cloud, 31% applications are running. In the private cloud, 19% applications are running. And in hybrid cloud, which basically is a mixture of on-prem and your public cloud and private cloud, you have 18% applications. But as you can see, the only thing which is decreasing in 2020 is on-premise applications, which basically means you buy your servers and then you put your application on it. So the number for that is decreasing to 27% in 2020. That basically means 10% of those applications will now be migrated to cloud. And as you can see, public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, both, I mean, all the three will see a rise in trends in the year 2020. And this is by Forbes. This is what Forbes has predicted. Right. So now I've told you as to cloud is the thing. It is going to be growing further, and it is going to be the technology that everyone should know in the future 3 4 years. And you now understand that why cloud certifications should be done. Okay, they should be done because they give you better job prospects. They should be done because you can show your recruiter that you are up to date with all the technologies, and at the same time you also can get a better career growth if you're getting yourself certified today with compared to what you can get when you are in the future. Okay, now let's start with what is cloud certification, guys, and before that let me just give you a brief as to why I think being certified is important. Now I recruit a lot of people when it comes to the cloud technologies. And what I've seen is that, let's say I have around 20 people who have come after resume screening to me, right? Now, how do I judge that which candidate is better than the other without even taking the interview first? Okay, so I would put a filter because I also work for a company, and every company is on a time crunch, right? They cannot, or they see ways how to improve the time they're spending in the company so that they can get the most productivity out of an employee, right? So I would keep a simple filter on my interview that whoever is certified should be given, or should be given a chance in the interview first than people who are not certified. The reason for that is, let's say I am recruiting for architect, right? So I would be pleased to know that a certain company has certified a particular person as an architect, and then I'm taking his interview, rather than some guy who just comes up to me and is not certified. I'll be at a risky stage when I'm taking an interview for a guy who has no certification, because I'll have to invest more time in knowing what are his skills, what is his knowledge about that particular technology. But when a particular person is certified, it becomes very easy for me to know whether that particular person knows about that technology or not, because I just have to ask questions on the things that he's certified in, and obviously the things that I know for sure that will be asked in his certification exam. If I just cover those, I would know that whether this particular is proficient to a particular level about the cloud technology. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is the chances of you in an interview of getting recruited and being called before a person who is not certified are more, right? Even if you specify that you are certified in a particular cloud domain in your resume, the chances of your resume getting selected by the HR of a particular company would be more when you compare it with just writing the skills in your resume. So certification is very important because not only it gives you a better clarity in terms of what you want to do in life, but it also becomes easy for the recruiter to recruit you because he would already know that you are proficient in that particular technology up to a certain extent, and then the recruiter can start from that particular level to ask you questions, right? Now let's go ahead and understand what is the cloud certification. So basically, cloud certifications are used to evaluate whether a particular individual has the required skill set to work in a company with that technology. For example, if you get certified in AWS, what AWS is saying is this particular person can work in a particular company as, let's say, you appeared for the AWS Architect Associate certification. So basically, the company is saying that
according to an associate's profile of a cloud architect, this person is proficient and he can perform all the day-to-day tasks, right? This is what the certification body is saying, right? And obviously, when you get this kind of a certification from from a particular company which has actually made the technology, it becomes very convincing for the recruiter to understand, okay, so this person can do my job. Okay, so what are cloud certifications used for? It is basically used to evaluate a particular person's technical capability and also to showcase to the recruiter that he is proficient in the respective technology where he has been certified of. Okay, now there are a lot of cloud certifications out there, guys, but which cloud certification should you do? Right now, you can get certified in OpenStack, you can get certified in a lot of there are a lot of cloud providers out there because the cloud business itself has become so uh, uh, I mean, a lot of companies are now adopting the cloud business, or they are looking out for businesses who are dealing in cloud services. So that is the reason most of the companies they have started the cloud business now, and there are hundreds, if not uh, tens or twenties or thirties companies which are basically giving the cloud service. For example, Salesforce is a company which gives cloud services. It's a very prominent company. Then OpenStack is basically also used to create your own cloud. Similarly, IBM Cloud is there. But which cloud should you focus on? Now, you cannot get certified in all the cloud providers which are out there, right? So, the best way to know that is to basically pick let's say the top three cloud providers which are there in the industry and start from there, right? So the top cloud providers which exist in the industry are AWS, then you have Google Cloud Platform, and then you have Microsoft Azure. So these are the top three cloud providers in the industry right now, uh, which companies are preferring for their cloud needs. So if we talk about the market share, AWS has around 36 or 37% of the market, and it is a top cloud provider in the market right now. It's number one, right? Then you have Google Cloud Platform, which comes at then you have Microsoft Azure, which comes at number two, and the market share that it has is around 15 to 16%, right? But see the difference in the market share between AWS and Microsoft Azure. So AWS is huge, right, when it comes to the market share, and the reason for that is AWS was launched way back in 2006, but when you compare it with Microsoft Azure, it was recently launched in 2012. Okay, it was launched in 2012, but still from its inception it has gained a lot of growth and it has acquired a lot of customer base, and now it sits at the second rank for the top cloud providers in the market right now with the market share of 16%. Although it's a huge gap from AWS, but still it's the most preferred cloud provider. The third cloud provider, which is on the list, is Google Cloud Platform. Now, Google Cloud Platform is again, it's a huge uh, cloud infrastructure which is provided to us by Google, but the market share is still like it's around 7 to 8% of the market that Google Cloud has acquired. It's steadily growing year over years, and probably in the future, Azure and Google Cloud might catch up with AWS, but that's a long way to go, right? AWS has reached this particular position in, I'll say, around 12 or 13 years. Azure took around 6 to 7 years to reach to 16%. So for the next jump, which is at 36% of the market share, uh, the people of AWS will start migrating to Azure or Google Cloud Platform. For that number to go equal, I think it'll take the next 5, or I think it'll take the next decade for that to happen, right? Right, and only when Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud Platform are being the same are in the same domain of uh, you know putting out more services, being more innovative in terms of how to solve customer problems. So the same enthusiasm that Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure, whatever they have showed in the past 5 or 6 years, if they continue that, only then they will reach the same level of AWS, right? And when we talk about AWS innovation, AWS is the leader in innovation right now because of the kind of services that they have to offer. And most of the cloud providers, I'll say Microsoft Azure, not Google Cloud, but Microsoft Azure, are basically offering the same services that AWS has to offer, but after AWS, right? So let's say AWS launched a particular service today. So Microsoft Azure will come up with that same service in the next 3 months, but it is coming after AWS. So if there is a market which is available for that particular service, AWS acquires it first, and then Microsoft Azure comes and people see and compare whose performance is better and then decide where to migrate. Right? So if this kind of trend goes on and the services are launched quickly, I think they can come in par. But like I said, it will take the next 5 or 10 years for all these three cloud providers to come to a level and then rise or take over AWS's position as to the top, which is the number one cloud provider in the market, right? Now, how is it relevant to what we are studying today? So we are basically getting to know which cloud certification should you do in 2019, right? So should you start with AWS? Should you start with Google Cloud? Should you start with Microsoft Azure? So I will suggest that because AWS is a top cloud provider, that basically relates to the kind of jobs that will be offered in the market right now, right? Since AWS has the largest market share, that basically means most of the companies are on AWS, which directly is related to the number of jobs which are available in the market for cloud. More jobs will be for AWS. Then, similarly, if you talk about Microsoft Azure, that is the second cloud provider in the list. Its jobs will be comparatively less than AWS, but they will still be there, right? Similarly, Google Cloud will be even less than Microsoft Azure, but they'll still be there, right? So this is the order in which the job would be distributed in the job industry right now. And because we are starting off in the cloud industry, I think we should play it safe, or we should always go for a particular certification which has more chances of landing you in a job. And according to that logic, you should always start with AWS. Okay, start with AWS, start with the certifications that they have, and choose a certification according to your experience. So that brings us to our next topic, as to, let's say I want to learn AWS. Okay, but which cloud certification? There are a lot of cloud certifications in AWS. Which one should I start off with? Right? So we will be discussing that in the further slides, where I'll help you choose based on your experience from the industry, whatever you're working on, which cloud certification should you choose. Okay. So now let's talk about the top cloud certifications which are available in the market. Guys, you have the three top cloud providers that we discussed. They have their own set of certifications to do while or when you're trying to enter the cloud domain. So Google has its own certification body, AWS has its own certification body, and Microsoft has its own certification body, right? Now, in these certification bodies, you have a lot of certifications like we just discussed, and let's discuss those certifications in the further slides, right? So AWS certification basically, guys, will check what kind of architectural practices you will follow in your AWS infrastructure. It will check whether you have the minimum proficiency of becoming a cloud architect at an associate level in a company. It will check that in its associate certification, right? So all the skills which are related to a cloud architect or a cloud developer or a cloud administrator, uh, those kind of skills will be checked by the AWS certificate. Moving further, when we talk about a Google professional, a person who is certified in Google, what does that certification say about the professional or that particular individual? He basically is certified to design or architect infrastructures on Google Cloud based on the workloads. He would be able to choose which kind of service in Google Cloud he should use. Similarly, Microsoft Azure has the same story again. Microsoft Azure certifies that this particular person knows which kind of services in Microsoft Azure should be used for a particular kind of workload. Okay. Let's talk about the different kind of certifications that you get from all these three cloud providers. Now, there's a thing in common between all these three cloud providers, and that thing in common is the certifications that you get, right? So you have certifications with the associate, and you have certifications with respect to the professional level as well, right? Now, based on your experience, you would be choosing a certification level, but there are some prerequisites which are put up by different cloud providers. For example, uh, in AWS, until and unless you don't do the associate certification, you cannot directly go ahead and give the exam for professional. Okay, so an associate level is nothing but a person who is a beginner, who is starting into the cloud industry, and as a beginner, you would have to clear the associate certification. Now, this is valid across all the three cloud providers, which is AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. Similarly, a professional level is an exam which is given when you, as a professional or as an individual, are proficient in cloud, but you say, I know more about it, I know it more in depth, I have years of experience in my hand, which on which I have worked on this particular technology, and I understand all the nitty gritties related to this technology. So then you become the expert, right? So how do you become an expert, or how do you certify yourself as an expert in a particular cloud technology? Do the professional certification for it. On the other hand, if you just want to, or if you're just starting off in the cloud domain, and right now what you want is a job in the cloud domain, start off with the associate level, get a job. While you're doing the job, get the relevant job experience, then apply for the professional level exam, clear it, and then you will be certified as an expert in that particular cloud technology. Okay, moving forward, guys, now let's talk about the types of certifications that you get in associate and professional, right? And I also told you about some of the prerequisites that some cloud providers have put up, so as to which cloud certification you should do first, and then how to get your career started. And also the question wherein, if I am from a particular background, which cloud certification should I choose? Okay, so guys, at the associate level, you have three profiles. You have the solutions architect, and this is about AWS, guys. You have the solutions architect, you have the developer, and then you have the sysops administrator profile. Okay, so if you are a person who is from a development background, right? Let's say you have done some coding, you're from backend, or you're from middleware, or you're from front end, you have done UI UX, whatever you have done. If you want to continue doing that, but on the AWS infrastructure, then you should apply for AWS developer certification. Okay. Similarly, if you are from an admin background, you basically have experience in managing server box or VM box of different Linux flavors or Windows administrators. If you are from an experience of a similar background and you want to continue doing that, you can actually apply for AWS certified sysops administrator, right? So whatever company you'd be applying for, you'd be applying for the same profile, either as a developer or as an admin, right? And by having the relevant certification in your hand, you can basically tell them that I know how to administrate servers, or I know how to develop a particular application in a particular language. But with this AWS certification, I can also do it on AWS, right? So if your application is on AWS, I know exactly how to manage it, and I also know how to develop code, right? So this is what these two certifications say about the relevant experiences that you get with them. Now there's a third kind of certification, which is a solutions architect certification, right? What if you're not from the admin background, or if you, what if you're not a developer, or what if you are from these two backgrounds, but you do not want to do the same work again in the future? You want to rise a level up, you want to do something different. So if that is the case, you should apply for the solutions architect exam in AWS. Now, what is a solutions architect? A solutions architect job is not to code, but his job is not to administrate servers, but his job is to devise an architecture for a particular application in the best possible way, which should be the most secure architecture when it comes to following all the best practices. And at the same time, it should be up to date with regards to all the technology conditions that are employed today. For example, let's say for high availability, it is recommended that you should follow a microservices architecture. Now, how to implement it on AWS, how to implement the microservices architecture in AWS is a knowledge which a solutions architect guy should know, right? How to make that microservices architecture most secure, or how to make it secure, that a solutions architect guy would know. How to migrate or how to plan migration from on-premise systems to my cloud provider without any downtime to the application. All these things a solutions architect should know. So if you are a person who is from a background, either a non-IT background or an IT background, which is different from a developer or an administrator, and you want to start off in the cloud domain, then my recommendation for you would be to join the Solutions Architect Associate certification and then go about applying for jobs, right? And if you are a developer or a sysops administrator who has the relevant experience in their domain, but what they want is a notch up, they now want to apply for profiles such as uh, architects or technical managers or CTOs in some case, in the relevant companies where they're using the this particular cloud provider, then you should also apply for solutions architect. Now, guys, I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying if you are if you even if you are a 15 years guy, experienced guy, and even if you are a 1 year experienced guy or a fresher in some cases, if you are getting this certification, you'll get the same kind of job, right? A person who's 15 years experienced and getting himself certified with this certification, obviously he's getting bringing along with him a lot of experience into the other things which the business can get uh, help from, right? And similarly, because of that, his package will be a lot higher than a person who is a fresher in getting into the cloud domain with this certification. Okay, so it basically depends on your skills, it basically depends on your experience that you're bringing to the table, that will basically impact what your salary would be after getting the certification. But if I were to give you an average salary of a person who is getting into or who's getting himself certified from AWS, the salary ranges from somewhere 8 to 14 lakhs. This is the average an engineer would earn. And obviously, for a person who is around 15 or 16 years experienced, or 10 or 12 years experience, he can also expect a salary of around 25 to 30 lakhs, right? So this is according to Indian system of uh, getting jobs, because I have most of my friends in India who are into the cloud domain, and this is the number that they're basically earning in. All right. But if you are a fresher and you're not bringing the relevant experience to the table, you might or you will basically get a job in cloud domain, but you might not get in the uh, respective range that I just talked about, which is in 25 to 30 lakhs, right? You'll have to be in the bracket of uh, what an average uh, person gets when he gets certified in AWS, right? Similarly, guys, if you talk about a professional certification, now professional certification, as the name suggests, it is a person who knows about that particular technology in depth. So in this case, we are discussing about AWS, right? So if you want to become a solutions architect professional, it's a prerequisite that you should already have a certification on the associate level of solutions architect, right? And when you get yourself certified on the professional level, that basically bridges the gap of a professional who is around 15 to 20 years experienced in the IT domain to a guy who's around only 6 or 7 years experienced in the domain, in the industry, right? So if you get yourself certified with the professional certification, which mind you guys is not easy to crack, you can bridge that 5 or 6 years of gap between the professionals who know the same amount or who have the same amount of knowledge, and you can get to that particular position as a CTO or as a technical architect, as a senior technical architect, very soon or very quickly with this kind of a certification, which is the professional level, right? Similarly, you have one more certification, which is the DevOps Engineer Professional Certification. For this, the prerequisite is that you should either be certified from developer or admin or as a solution architect, and only then you can appear for an exam, which is for DevOps Engineer Profile. But when you compare it with solutions architect, you have to be certified in associate level of solutions architect. Only then you can apply for professional. Similarly, if you talk about Microsoft Azure, guys, there are three kind of certifications in Azure. You have the Azure Administrator, you have Azure Developer, and then you have the Azure Architect. Azure Architect is not listed here, but there are basically three, and it follows the same story, guys. If you are from the developer background, you would be appearing for Azure Developer. If you are from the administrator background, you would be appearing for the administrator profile. And if you are a solutions architect, you would be appearing for the, or if you are a person who already knows a developer or already has the experience of a developer or has the experience of an administrator, or you are a person who is not from the developer or admin background, but basically want to a shift into the cloud domain, then you should be going for the solutions architect certification. Okay, so again, it has professional level certifications, which are basically the Azure Solutions Architect certification, for which if you crack this exam, you basically become a professional in that particular technology, and that will take you leaps forward into getting a very senior job at a particular firm which is using Microsoft Azure for their application needs. Similarly, if you're into the DevOps domain, right, and you want to become a senior DevOps engineer, or a particular person who heads the DevOps life cycle in a particular company, you can get yourself certified in the professional certification for Azure DevOps engineer. Okay. Similarly, Google also offers certification and associate level. You have so Google offers only one associate level certification when it comes to uh, getting yourself certified. So it only offers cloud engineer. It does not differentiate between a solutions architect or a developer or an admin. The certification aims at all the individuals. Either you want to be an architect or a developer or admin. If you want to get into the Google Cloud domain, you would have to get yourself certified in this particular technology or in this particular certification, which is the Associate Cloud Engineer certification. And when we come to the professional level, again, you have cloud architect, you have data engineer, you have a load of other certifications as well that you can choose. But those certifications, again, you will be choosing with respect to what you want to do in life. Do you want to become an architect? If yes, get into the cloud architect professional certification. Now, the good thing about these particular certifications is that there is no prerequisite. That basically means if you think you are equipped enough to know about all the technologies uh, or all the services in GCP to a particular extent where you can call yourself an expert, you can directly apply for the professional certification in Google Cloud, right? So you don't have to appear for the associate certification. So that's a good thing that you get with Google Cloud. Similarly, if you think you are a good data engineer and you just want a certification from Google, you can actually go ahead and directly apply for the Google Data Engineer Professional Certification. And if you can crack it, good for you. You would be certified as a professional as that particular technology, which is the exam that you're giving. Either to be for solutions architect, data engineer, or there are a host of other certifications as well. Okay. Now, the next question is if I get myself certified, let's say in AWS or Azure or GCP in that case, um, should I basically go for another certification as well? Right. So if I get myself certified in AWS, should I go ahead and get certified in Azure? Should I go ahead and get myself certified in GCP also? So the answer for that is yes. Okay. Most of the companies who are looking out for cloud professionals, if you look at the job descriptions, they actually look out for all kind of people. They you will see that most of the job descriptions, they have everything written. They expect you to know AWS, they expect you to know Azure, they expect you to know GCP as well. right? So many companies are posting these kind of job descriptions, and obviously with this kind of skill set they give you a higher salary also. Okay, so should you get certified in all the three providers that we just talked about? The answer is yes. Should you get certified in just one and apply for cloud jobs? The answer is yes for that too, right? So if you're an entry level guy who's entering into cloud and just want to get a hang of what cloud is, and simultaneously get yourself certified, I would suggest that is the best way of going about it. Get yourself certified in one particular cloud domain, go ahead and give the exam for that, go ahead and give interviews for that, and then once you get a job, then you also start to explore the other cloud providers which are apart from that particular cloud provider. Let's say AWS you start off with. Once you get into a job, you also start to learn about Azure, you also start to learn about GCP. And from my experience, what I've seen is if you get to know about AWS, it will be very easy for you to migrate onto Azure or GCP. And you can do vice versa as well. If you very well know Azure or if you very well know GCP, it will be very easy for you to migrate to other cloud providers, right? So, guys, in a gist, if I have to tell you, you have to get certified in all the three cloud providers, that is Azure, AWS, and GCP. As an entry level guy, you can start off with just one certification, get a job, and then start studying for other certifications as well. But it'll be very important that you get yourself certified. Okay, otherwise it will be very difficult for your recruiter, or the chances of you getting a job interview call would be difficult, because nowadays all the recruiters are looking out for uh, the certifications, and they are looking out for people who are certified in a technology, and only then they take their interview. Okay, so with that, guys, I think I'll take a leave from all of you. So if you have any questions, you can put across at the email address sales@intellipaat.com. You can also call us on the numbers which are displayed on the screen, and that would be it, right? On the other hand, guys, if you are interested to learn all of this, one way is you can learn everything by your own, right? But Intellipaat also gives you an option of learning with us, right? So we have a program which is the Cloud Architect program, right? So you just have to head on to your browser and you just have to go to intellipaat.com. So once you go to intellipaat.com, then you would be going to the Cloud Architect uh, course. So the cloud architect course is basically a combination of all the cloud providers, guys. So what we guarantee you is that after this particular course, you can crack all the three exams that we just talked about, right? And then you can apply for jobs which expect all the three technologies for you to know. And obviously, it'll be a jump from whatever salary you're earning right now, right? So we have the cloud and DevOps architect certification. So not only we are teaching you cloud in this particular course, but we will be teaching you DevOps as well, because DevOps also has become a requirement in the industry these days, because DevOps is basically the way as to how your application is deployed, and where is it deployed on? It is deployed basically on cloud. Okay, so this particular course is a combination of all the three cloud providers along with DevOps. So you can get all the details. This is the link, guys. You can go ahead on this link and you can get all the details with respect to this course, and you can get started, right? So if you have, or if you want to reach out to us, you can just mention your email address or your phone number in the comment section, and our team will reach out to you as early as possible, and we can get you started in this particular course. So guys, this was it for this session. I hope everyone has or everyone must be clear with whatever we have discussed. So if you have any doubts with respect to anything whatever I've taught you today, you can give us a call and we'll be happy to answer all your queries, right? So with this, guys, I'll take a leave from all of you. So have a great day ahead and goodbye, guys.